because if you didn't notice, I actually took notes from the last meeting and put it on one of the Cribl blogs that was launched today. So make sure to give the community the love. All right,
do that.
Let me share real quick.
We could incorporate that into the YouTube channel too and go ahead and stick those. I usually try to go through and get at least a basic timeline so that it'll, at least you can jump past, me babbling, because that's what everybody tries to do. But yeah, having extra notes in there may not be bad. I can always edit those and add them later. There we go.
All right. Oh, Zoom bar is hiding from me. Hold on. All right. So, welcome to the user group meeting today for September 13th. And we're going to talk just a few minutes on your product advocacy team. It is your team. We're here to help you. So the hierarchy, everybody wants to know who. So on the call, even we have the whole team for you. We got Aaron as the head of our team, making sure we all go right and do everything we should for you guys. Mike, Chris, and myself are all parts of this team, all with the different roles, but our main focus is making sure that you get the most out of your Cribl experience and being able to do, we'll do it this way, see if this works, to make sure that you're oh yeah, thanks Aaron, put the blog in the chat there. So Mike, Chris, and I work on your journeys to make sure that you have the best Cribl experience possible. So a little bit about me. I am the one filling the role that our dear Pi Bob originally founded. Myself, I have a systems and engineering background. That's where I spent 20 plus years of systems and engineering and 7 years of security engineering. I am a father to a 19-year-old, 17-year-old. She's about to be 18, which scares me to death, and a 12-year-old. The free time I do have is spent coaching youth football. This year, I'm coaching, it's the C League, which is made up of mainly 6th graders. And then I also do track and field, where I focus in on sprints. I really kind of narrow down in the 200. I used to love running the curve, which nobody loves the curve, so they throw me that way. In the past, I have coached wrestling, both youth and high school. Soccer, didn't put it on there, but I was also a powerlifting coach for a high school. So my community experience, I was the founder of the Nebraska Splunk user group. I forgot to put Splunk in there. But it was the second user group founded through Splunk, and it was been the one that's been the most consistent since the beginning. We've been continuously in operation since 2013 until I handed it over this a couple months ago to somebody else to continue on. I've been in the Splunk Trust since the beginning at Comp 15, and along with Rich and Clara, founder of B-Sides SPL. Some of the fun things that I've done in the past was tracking car speeds in my neighborhood. That was interesting, with getting to know the chief of police and the sergeant in charge of traffic enforcement. The talk I'm giving actually this year for B-Sides is tracking athletic performance. I was able to scrape all the data of all the track athletes that we have, and with the attendance, we were able to diagram how they did in their particular fields, and put annotations on when they came to practice, so you could see if they missed some practices and their time went up or went down, were they overtraining. And so we got to use that for a nice little area. And then another one that was, it was a fun project, but made me lose the argument or debate. We weren't arguing, we were debating. My wife and I, she said the house was cold. I said it wasn't. And since I had sensors throughout or just sitting in the garage. I put one on the return air side, one on the flow air side of the HVAC system, and was able to map out the data of what the temperature was, what the humidity was, what the flow was, so I could see if there was any air pressure issues with the cooling and heating of my house. And after looking at all the data, the house was cold. So had a lot of fun playing with data. So what do I do here at Cribl? Well, it's week 3 for me, but my main job is to be your voice. If you have questions, you have concerns, you have ideas, let me know. I'm here to take your ideas and make sure I can get them to the right people so we can start working on them and making sure that if you see a way to use Cribl that is not currently being used, we can make sure that that gets to the right people, and we can help make sure that your voice is heard. And also, if you think something, you're not sure on something, I can get some engineers to help with you. We can get them here in the user group so we can have demonstrations on different items. I know Mike, Chris, and I are coming up with some fun things coming up here shortly that I think everybody will like. Like I said, help get your answers, questions. I'm the person that is supporting Rich and making sure that the global user group is able to continue. And eventually, once we get to the point, start some regional and local user groups. I'll be helping support those champions to make sure that their user group is able to do everything they need. And then I'll be managing Cribl Curious and the Slack instance, because I have people skills. And that's it.
That's all.
That's all I do. That's it. I'm a slacker. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now you get paid to be a slacker, though. This is pretty awesome.
Yes, it's been fun moving from this was something I got to do on the side to Aaron is trusting me with going forward with this.
Yeah, that's a transition too, because if you're volunteering and trying to help, it's a whole different feeling than when you're getting paid to do something. So,
but it's fun. That means I get to interact with everybody on this call a lot more.
Let's see. Well, James, I don't think has actually come on yet. So
I have one other thing I could just remind folks of. So one of the things we did recently for folks who are customers, so I know we want to, everyone's a customer, but I guess I should say for folks who are paying for support, if you don't just submit ERs via the Slack channel, like do that, because then you can engage with the product managers. But if you also submit any ERs via support request, then you're able to track the status of those enhancement requests in the support portal. So just a fun fact, in case you didn't know, because I feel like in Slack, oftentimes people will ask, hey, what's the status of this ER? You can do that self-service, not have to wait for somebody else to get back to you, but rather you can kind of see what's going on yourself if you file it. So I know one of the things that we try to do by being customers first is the product managers and the SEs will often file things on a customer's behalf, but if they just shoot it to the PMs and don't do it through the support system, then you don't have that visibility. So fun fact. The other thing that I will say is, Ben, I hope you don't mind, but Ben Marcus has recently joined the Cribl ranks as a product manager. So you will get to know and love him as a product manager, yet another person ready to listen and take your feedback to help us make Cribl more better for everybody.
all right, thanks for that update. We still don't have the primary person who's going to give a talk today.
Well, we could have Chris and Mike say hello to everybody as part of the product advocacy team.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And Ben is new.
So. And Ben is new. You can just put him on stage too. I mean, like, hi. Well, this is great. Let's call everybody out. So, who's first?
Mike likes to talk. Let's let Mike go first.
Oh, ouch. Ouch. Just kidding. I love you, Chris. Yeah. Hi. Hi, everybody. Wait, is that what I'm supposed to say? You said say hi to everybody. Wait, hi to everybody. Just kidding. Yeah. Hi. Welcome. If you guys have any comments, any feedback on the onboarding journey, or what you would like to see on the onboarding journey, I am all ears. I'm also a Slacker, a Cribl Slacker. So yeah, just hit me up in the community Slack and let me know. And I would be happy to chat about anything, everything, you name it. We can talk about it.
And same goes for me, but what I'd really like to hear is if there's any issues that you're having getting other people into Cribl, like if you've got other folks you work with, if you've got, you're trying to talk to the folks that are above you on why you should use Cribl. I'd love to hear, anything you're running up against, any way that we can help you, any videos, whatever we can do that you might be interested in seeing, tutorials, etc.
Oh, stop
Hey,
muting
Rich.
me. Gosh, stop muting me. I'm used to just spitting it out when I need to. Do you have any examples of times you've actually helped someone, like, specific examples of that kind of thing where somebody is having a problem getting somebody onboarded or whatever, and you came up with a video for them? What was the last thing you did in that realm?
Yeah, so I am fairly new to Cribl, but I come from Splunk, and I used to run the e-learning and education tech departments over there. So if you took anything that was ever e-learning from Splunk, that was my work or my team's work. And I also worked a little bit on the admin courses and architect courses. So I've done it a little bit, just not for Cribl yet. I'm working on it right now for Cribl.
Perfect.
And then Ben and then James.
Ben. Oh, good. James is here. Well, James, we're going to a couple more introductions and then we'll get around to you.
Okay.
So you got like another minute or two. All right.
Woo, all right.
All right. So find your slides, all that kind of stuff. I'll just try to make Ben go slow and speak clearly, and you'll be fine. Just go.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Ben Marcus. I'm on the product management team. And as Aaron mentioned, any feature requests you have, I'll be helping to ensure that, there's a Jira and it's tracked, whether it comes in, as part of the support portal, that will of course be tracked as part of your account. But if you just put them in the feature request channel as well, I'll be happy to file any requests for enhancements or changes, always looking for customer feedback, and really excited to be here helping make the product better.
Perfect. It's always good to put like a face with the names too, just to see the people, or at least know that, I've seen them before somewhere. So, oh, by the way, this is my wife here too with me, Colette. She's wanted to join in on the meeting, and I was decided she could just come up here and sit with me. So, which means I don't have a fake background on. But I think it's time for the keynote speech by James, assuming he's kind of got all his ducks in a row now.
Yes, potentially. LastPass is making me change my master password.
Well, I was going to say the last thing to do is, hey, if anybody ever wants to help run a user group, feel free, because you can see the sausage factory being, in work right here. It's we're not the most polished of things, so you can always put forth a little bit of effort and make a lot of improvements in various places. Just keeping us all on track is half the battle sometimes. In any case, so you think you got your password changed then, James?
It is still forcing me to go through that process, but I will be there soon.
Do just for a moment. All right. We could even. No, we don't want to start thinking about swag yet, or people will start dropping off the call if we started rolling dice for that, wouldn't they? But I have my dice with me, so we're ready. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to show for 5 minutes or less? Checking the time. Should I get out my holiday pictures and photos? No.
Well, maybe I can do a raise of hands. Sorry to, I think for some folks, this will be belaboring a Criblcon point, but as we were starting to put together and frankly budgeting for next year, what a Criblcon would look like, we were thinking it would probably just be a one-day thing. We'd probably try to do it adjacent to .conf again. And it would probably be like a keynote and then 5 sessions. And Tony has said repeatedly, they need to be technical sessions. So
My tag is keep it nerdy, man.
keep it nerdy. So I see a lot of heads nodding on keeping them technical, but yeah, feel free to put anything in the chat or hit us up. Okay, I'm seeing the thumbs ups. So cool. And if you have any other sort of feedback, let us know. But yeah, we want to keep it and also start thinking about what you might present, because ideally some of these things would be presented by you all as well. So start to think about what your session could look like. And we will also partner with you to give you sort of the, you know, best practice tips and tricks, brainstorm ideas with you, and make sure that you feel good and confident if you have not in fact presented at a forum like this before. We want to give you the, you know, that TLC to make you feel good. And that's well received.
You decided on possibly about 5 sessions. Is there going to be like 5 different tracks or 5 sessions?
I think it'll just be like 5 sessions. I don't know that we'll do tracks. Yeah, because
or is a lot of that still up in the air yet too? Just kind of.
I think it's a little up in the air. But I think it'll be a function of, like, we may need to do tracks because we might want to do something for Edge and we might want to do something for Stream. We'll see, but yeah, we will want, and we want to make sure it's technical, right? So we want to make sure that we've got enough people and enough customers to help us present good, deep stuff. And there may be a hands-on component that we do too. So
that would be fun. I always like those.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Cool.
So let's go back to, is James still on?
Yes, I am still on and got my password changed after some loading bars and some fiascos. So all right, let's go ahead and get going.
Excellent.
All right, let me see if I can find the buttons to share the screens. Okay, you should see the screen you know and love.
Yay.
Yep.
Yay. Okay, cool. All right, so I just created this dev box here. We're going to go through creating some of the sources and stuff that you'll need to ingest some of the stuff that we're talking about today, which is primarily just stuff I mess around with, bringing in like threat intel feeds from places like URLHaus, Shodan, different stuff like that. So I'm going to log in on a separate tab into my Prada instance so I can actually clone the sources over. So 1 second real quick. Okay, the easiest way to do it is from scratch so you can see the entire process. Sometimes you have to duplicate some tabs, otherwise it doesn't like to authenticate, right? Okay, so over here, we're going to create a REST collector. Click add new. And the first one I'll do is for URLHaus. So for the collect URL, this is a free API, by the way, so it's open. Anybody can use it. We'll put this URL in here for their API, standard HTTPS, url-house.abuse.ch. v1 URLs recent. What this is going to do is it's going to pull down all of the recently reported URLs. So anything that was reported as malicious into this software. It's from some groups called abuse.ch, and they collect some of this data. So you can go ahead and check that out. Just type that into the address, and they've got several different projects going on around there. We're going to go ahead and do a collect method of get. And let me see where we put our key at. Oh yeah, there is no key. It's an open API. Anybody can do it. So you can just make a straight request to it. So we should be able to save and run this, unless I'm forgetting something. Nope. We got to give it a name. Call it URLHaus. Save and run. Go ahead and do a preview just to see what the results are. No registered workers. All right, we'll do a preview in my other window. I spun this up before the call, so that is why you don't see it right now. And I will just pull over a screenshot of how it looks. So once you actually put this in, because I don't feel like exposing company data, but basically you end up with a JSON return like this. It'll send you URL status, so it'll tell you whether or not it's online. It'll give you the host IP address. It'll give you a threat. So malware downloaded. If somebody reported that, yes, I actually downloaded malware from this link.
We're still seeing your previewing URLHaus.
Oh, yep, that's right. I shared the
app.
Let me go ahead and switch that.
Okay, we'll get it.
Yep, thank you for letting me know. Perfect. Do you see this neat little screenshot now? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah, so this is basically how the data looks. It's just JSON data that comes back, and it gives you URL status. It'll say online. It doesn't capture all of it on there, but basically it gives you a whole bunch of information on the URL and what it was reported as. So it'll also give you like a threat, whether or not the malware is downloaded, whether it was listed in some of their other projects, all sorts of good stuff like that. And then you can ingest that into your SIM of choice, Splunk, Elastic. If you want to throw it in S3, whatever you want to do with it. You could also set it up as a collector. So a script collector, and then pull that into a, I'm not thinking the word. The CSV files that lookup. Aha, there you go. I pull that into a lookup and then enrich off of that as well. And Shodan is going to be very similar to this. I can show you that as well, but I will likely just show you a screenshot of that. And it stopped sharing my screen. So let me go ahead and go back. Okay. So Shodan is going to be the same thing. You're going to add a new REST collector. Call it Shodan. And sorry, I'm following the reference on my other screen. There's a few different types of information you can pull down from Shodan. You can pull down Shodan host information. You can pull down information from entire organizations. So there's different filters you can type in for anybody who hasn't actually gone out to Shodan and looked at that data. So you can do filters like org, and then your particular org, like Google. Let's say you're Google and you type them in, you can get all of the endpoints exposed to the internet that Shodan can see that are registered to your organization, DNS entries and things like that. So we'll go ahead and start a Shodan one. We'll do the one for org. And I'm going to show a different version of this, because I don't want to expose my API key. Basically, this is what you'll put in the collect URL, api.shodan.io, Shodan host search, and then key equals your key, query equals org, and then I have ID in here. So what you can do is you can go into Discover, you can change this to item list, and you can list out as many orgs as you want. So we could put Google in here. I'm not picking on Google. They're just the biggest name in town. You can put Cribl. So Cribl wants to monitor their own stuff. They can put that in there. Any brand that you want to put in there that you know shows up as the registered organization, you can put that in there. Once you save this and you do that save and run, you'll get very similar, or basically you'll pull down all of the Shodan results that are registered to your org. So we can actually, let me see if I can log into Shodan.
Are we again seeing the right screen?
What are you looking at now?
Shodan.org. We're looking at your collector settings that you overwrote the key on.
Where
It has
the Google.
It has a key with some brackets in it.
Yeah, it just has the word key inside where the key is.
Perfect. As long as you're not seeing the actual key.
Good.
That is good with me. Yes,
All
so
right,
that
just
is,
making
yep. And you should see me opening a new tab, right?
Nope, no new tab.
No new tab. Oh,
No new
well, they're getting really specific with their good for them. All right, so give me a second. Let me log into Shodan and I can show you some of the information that actually comes down with it. And this does require a license. It's pretty cheap. Okay, so now you should see a nice fancy dark mode window. Perfect. So in here, we can type org Google, just sticking with our previous example. And it'll show you everything registered to that company. So you see, this is Google LLC, Google user content. There's a whole bunch of that information. It'll tell you all sorts of cool things. Open ports, services running, what operating systems are running on it, what organizations. So we typed in org Google, so it's going to show Google Fiber, Google Asia, Google Cloud, all sorts of crazy things. Where they are physically, so Belgium, Netherlands, all that cool stuff. So all of that can actually be ingested into Cribl. So we set up this short source, we'll save it, and in a real world setting, when you actually have workers running and you're in a spot where you don't have to worry about exposing customer data, you can save this, run that, and get those JSON results back and do the same thing that you would do with the URLHaus data, where you would be enriching content based off a lookup, or just what I do right now is I just shove that straight in my SIM so that I can correlate that with other events. So like URLHaus, if I get spam stuff through Proofpoint, I also get Proofpoint logs, so I can get those Proofpoint logs. I can look at the URL that was reported. I can cross-reference that with the URLHaus and say, hey, yes, this is a link that has been reported as being malicious. Let's spin up a case on this and actually start working. That's a real high level. I do have packs actually created for some of this stuff. So I've got a Shodan pack, and I can go ahead and send that over probably in the community Slack. I'll just post that in one of the channels, probably the packs channel. So I've got the Shodan pack that'll show you how to do the host search as well as the org search, and the URLHaus is one as well. There's a bunch of different ways we can use threat intel or threat feed information like this to help enrich some of our data. Other ideas I've been talking with other people on the Slack channel about include gray noise data. It's a little bit more specific because unless you pay for the API, you can only bring back individual host data. But I believe if you pay, you can bring down anything marked as malicious as well, which would be a good source as well. Anything else? I don't really have a whole lot more to show. Like I said, this is all going to be theoretical, mainly because I can't expose any of my corporate info.
So you say you mostly just push this into your sim and then use it there, but it wouldn't be a big deal to just drop it as a lookup on the system here and use it to append in or augment existing data as it comes in too, right?
Yep, the lookup would work perfectly fine. I haven't messed with so that would require creating a script collector on the actual worker, and I just haven't dug into that. It'd probably be the preferred way, just because you'd save a little ingest. But URLHaus is megabytes a day. It's really small. And the Shodan data hasn't been massive either. I'm just bringing back data from my org. So I'm not saying, hey, dump everything from all the internet, which would be a bad idea.
Yeah, okay, so that might be slightly larger, but if you're trying to focus on just your own stuff, it might not be.
Sure, yeah, if you're focusing on your own stuff, you'd be good. If you're a security researcher that's trying to, find patterns on how things are acting in the internet, you would plan accordingly.
Does anybody have any questions then? I see no hands. No one has unmuted to start ranting how you're doing it wrong. So that's a great sign.
With the paid API, what are some other interesting things you can pull out of Shodan?
Yeah, let me bring up their filters real quick. It starts to get really creepy once you go down that road. To be honest, you can pull up a lot of weird things. Home routers. I won't get too in the weeds about the kinds of stuff you can pull. You can pull up a lot of stuff. It's a powerful tool.
Yeah, that's a tool that's behind a lot of people who are footprinting how to attack and how to break into systems and stuff, including map out all the home routers that are available that have this particular exploit or this particular flaw that we can exploit. Shodan, I don't know a ton about it, but that's where I see it in the news articles a lot.
Yep, the exploit tag is actually one of the tags that is in the paid version. So the free one, you can actually search for specific exploits, but if there's a new exploit that comes out and they have it tagged in Shodan and you want to search your environment for that, you can definitely do that, and that would be in the paid version as well.
So Jeremy made the comment about reading this stuff into Redis, which we've had a talk before on Redis given by XPac, who isn't even on today. Oh, it's terrible. And using it to enrich on ingest. Yeah, so that's an alternative to the lookup then. Might be more performant or better for a lot of use cases too.
Yeah, that's definitely a good option. Especially if you're a fan of containers and just spinning stuff up in containers. I have spun up Redis containers next to my Cribl container and then worked it that way before.
Cool.
Yeah, so Rich, that's a little bit what we are doing is we use all the thread data, push it into Redis, because that way we can distribute it around the world.
Right.
And we realized very quickly the amount of data we are pulling down became very big.
Okay.
And there's another issue with thread data is you want to overlay the thread data in a certain way, because you might get the same thread data from multiple sources. If you get the same thread data from multiple sources, you can say it's more trustworthy than if you get it only from a free source. So you can do some modeling around like whom you trust most, which alerts for you are the most important ones. And then you can associate a risk. And now for those which use Splunk, you can use it then in ES. For those which are not using Splunk, you can come up with something else. But that's a little bit the way we approach it.
Yeah, I definitely like that. So you can come up with sort of a risk score and say, yes, this is more risky than the others.
Right. Yeah, if everybody says that thing is bad, then you know it probably really is. Whereas if you only get it off of some random free list, you're like, well, it's an indicator, but is it a strong one or just a little bit of something there? So yeah, that's a good point. How many places you get it from? All right. Are there any other questions? Because if not, do we have anybody else who needs to say something? Going once, going twice. Aaron's smiling a lot, but not saying anything.
I'm just happy you're all here.
Oh yeah, it's a good turnout. Quite a few people here today.
I know.
So I think we're going to move on to doling out some swag. We have already discussed how this works.
It just happens to be exactly a D20 that you need, Rich.
Excellent. I have one right here. Shall we all witness the roll, or do you trust me? Since I have no idea what the order of anybody is, it doesn't. I could just pick a number and it wouldn't matter. All right. So D20.
You're sitting right there. I think we can trust you.
16 is what we have.
16. Let me hold on. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You know, if you had them in a grid, I could also roll 2 dice, one for the x-axis and one for the y, because you know we're all nerds.
Matt Robinson.
Matt Robinson. Ooh, the giant purple M.
So DM me your name and your address, and I will get swag your way.
Are you gonna tell him what your Slack handle is in case he can't find you?
Oh yeah, it's pretty hard. I'm Tony Ranky bracket Cribl.
Do we have enough swag for a second one? Or was it only one this week or this month?
I think Aaron's giving me the nod to let's go ahead and do another.
Okay, there we go. As I said, the big boss is on, so we can do whatever she nods. All right, second one is 6.
6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Christopher Owen.
Ooh.
With the nice mustache going there. And the log day. And never skipping log day.
Excellent.
Much better now. Alrighty. Well, I think unless we have any other news, I am looking for somebody who would love to give a talk next time around. What is it? The second Tuesday of the month. So yeah, anybody who wants to give a talk. Also, if anybody wants to help, I think I actually listed a few things in Slack and they're all really short. It's very handy to have more than one person keeping track of things though. So sometimes just having a second person who can just every week or two poke in with a, hey, does anybody want to give a talk next week or sometime in the next few months? You know, we're more than happy to help a bit and help you sort that out. But otherwise, I think we are then done for the day. So get to go home just a little bit early, but you know what? Don't tell anybody. Just pretend like you're still involved in this for the next 20 minutes and take the rest of the time off. All right. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks,
See you, everybody.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Rich. Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.